Everyone, welcome to Big Bite Baits and our weekly show, Rig It with the Coach. And Jordan, I got Jordan with me today. And Jordan, I don't know what this weather deal is. Last week it was a thunderstorm here. This week we've got, I believe it's going to be a hurricane time it gets here, but it's knocking on the door. It's already started raining here a little bit, so I don't know if it can get any worse than that, for sure, definitely. But anyway, we're glad to be here, and we're going to talk about several things today. But before we do, we got any warm-up questions we might could go over?
Sure, absolutely. I have a few here. Let's start with this one from Mason R. Is
All right,
wondering,
Mason.
what are your favorite summertime baits?
Favorite summertime baits. I'll give you two categories I think that are can't miss in the summer. Early morning, I like to throw our tour toad or our old top toad around grass, try to pick up some shallow type fish. And then as the sun gets high, move out in the day, I like to get out on the deeper drops and throw the big B2 worm. That's about my two favorite things to do. I like to throw that watermelon red ghost toad. I like to throw that plum apple B2 are my two favorite colors this time of year, definitely.
Okay, here's another one from LG Outdoors. Do you sponsor high school anglers?
We do sponsor high school anglers. We have a program that your coach needs to call in and talk to us about. Actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan, you can follow me up on this. I believe we have a page on our website where the coach, I want to emphasize the coach, can call in and or set up his team to be able to get our rewards. Let's talk a little bit more about that if you would.
Yeah, it's just bigbitebaits.com/sponsorship. There's an application form for your coach there.
I believe they get a 40% discount, if I'm correct, if they register and do all the proceeds and do whatever they're asked to do. So it's a pretty good discount for sure, definitely. Well, that kind of got us warmed up and got us rolling a little bit. So let's talk about today. I called today Buzzbait Monday. I thought maybe we might talk about our offerings in the buzzbait line. Several years ago, we started developing our own line of buzzbaits. For many years, all we did was straight plastics, and then we decided to incorporate buzzbaits into our plastics a little bit. So we have three basic types of buzzbaits that we've incorporated, and we'll talk a little bit about them. The first one is our Suicide Shad buzz. It comes in two sizes. It comes in a 1/4 ounce and a 3/8 ounce. The 3/8 ounce buzz has the big 5-inch Suicide Shad on it, and the smaller one has our 3.5 Suicide Shad on it. So you can go either route. And the nice thing about it, once again, we've talked about this a lot with buzz baits, you can select the color of Suicide Shad you want to hook up with the body. So if you had just a plain black head or the plain white head, you might pick a color that we actually don't offer in it. And all you got to do is buy a clam of Suicide Shads, and then you can make your own color of Suicide Shad buzz. So that's one way to work that. And the same thing we've talked about on our second bait that we're going to discuss today, which is the Tour Toad. And the Tour Toad obviously comes in, I think, 8 colors. Right now we're a little bit back ordered on that. We do have the black in stock. I know we have the watermelon red ghost in stock, and they're two of the good colors. Actually, that watermelon red ghost is my favorite color. But I like to throw this with a real heavy rod with braided line. And if the water in our lake, if the water's up in the grass where you can throw that bait back in the grass and bring it out, it can be something that's really highly successful. And I know in the fall, the shad began to gain shad, and this is another good time to throw the buzz bait. That's one of the reasons I wanted to show it today, is because I know that's coming up here shortly. We're still in the midst of summer, but fall's beginning to knock on the door. It's not too far around. Around the 1st of October, that becomes a real good pattern to use. So something to think about. And once again, I'll say the same thing about this particular bait. You can do the same thing. You can change. You could take this black bite that's on this bait and you could put the hematoma toad on it. So you can do a lot of different things with it to look at and kind of set up a color that you might like to use. And then the third style of bait that we have is our new skipping buzz, which will be available in the fall for when those fish begin to gang up around those docks and around the back of the creeks. And this bait is developed, as you know, to skip under docks. And the lead on this bait's encompassed inside the plastic. Our same tour toad fits on this one. And you can do the same thing with this bait that you can do with these two baits. And that's you can mix and match and change and basically set that bait up the way you like it to be. So I thought that's pretty neat. I just wanted to so I always had that wild card, Jordan. I had to throw one in. Y'all know how I am about a fighting frog now. So here's my little pointer for the day. I thought would kind of be interesting. I got a watermelon red ghost frame with a green pumpkin fighting frog on it. So that's kind of an interesting deal. I think this would be a dynamite combination. And like we've talked about in the past, you can tune that bait to click the shaft And I love to make mine, by the way, click the shaft. I feel like I get more bites doing that. So, and this bait, after you use it a little while, I'm not going to say it gets corroded, but it gets a squeaky sound.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to, not only is it going to click, it's going to squeak too. Can't beat it. This frame is just a standby frame. And, you know, I've had some people say, well, the wire on this frame is a little lighter. Well, it is. And you're going to have to do some bending on it, but that's the advantage of being able to do all the tuning. If a stiff wire, you can't tune it as well. Or you can tune this one real quick with your hands on the boat and go right back to fishing. And so food for thought, you know, try it on a fighting frog. If you got an idea you want to send in to us or something else we might put on one of these, do it, and we'll show that one day on the show. But just some things I wanted to throw at you today. Jordan, how about some more questions? What we got going on, man?
Yeah, sure. I have a comment here from Tom Jackson.
All right, Tom.
He's been throwing a fighting frog on the back of his chatterbaits.
Okay, all right, good. I'm assuming that's the Tom Jackson I know from down in Florida, maybe possibly. He's a fine singer if it is. If you had ever heard Tom sing, definitely, man, you need to tune on the internet and listen to him. Guy can do it, no doubt about it. Hey, Tom, how you doing? It's good to talk to you too, by the way.
My next one's from James Stanley. He's wondering, what is your most durable punching bait?
I probably would go with the Yo Mama. I think either that or the Yo Daddy. They both have a little more meatier body, so they don't tear up quite as bad. Obviously, some of our baits are a little thinner and they do tear. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they don't, but they do. So if I had to pick two I think are real durable, the Yo Daddy's got a good body, and I know when Russ Lane developed that bait, he made it a little thicker for that purpose. And then the Yo Mama, that's been around for years, also works real well in that line for sure.
Okay, I have one here from Rocking R Leather. What is a good setup for bank fishing?
Well, you know, if I were just going to go out and bank fish, I would probably throw some type of plastic. Obviously, usually you get more bites on plastic, so I would probably go with like a medium heavy rod and a, say, 6 to 4 or faster reel. Maybe would use 17-pound line if my water wasn't too clear, and use some type of wide gap hook with like a 1/4 ounce to a 3/8 ounce lead, and pitch me a fighting frog along that grass and definitely do some damage. But you could throw a worm. I mean, any kind of bait I think that's a compact type bait would work real well for you. But I'd probably start out with a fighting frog if it were me, no doubt. Trick stick does good too.
Okay, Baker08 is wondering what's your favorite topwater bait. I think this might answer that.
Well, this is one of my favorite topwater baits. I love to throw this bait. I catch a lot of fish on a buzzbait, but I have one of our companies that we associate with and are good friends with, Spro, makes a real nice frog that I like to throw as well. I'm going to give them a little kudos today. They're popping frogs pretty deadly. But I would either throw that Spro frog, or I'd throw our tour toad. That's pretty much the 3 topwater baits that I use all the time that I like to use here on the lake that I fish on.
Okay, I have someone here wondering about skirts, Coach. So we can talk about the lack of skirts.
That's a good question. I meant to bring that up in the thing, so somebody's reading my mind. We got some ESP going on, but definitely. So we talked about this morning. Actually, me and you and Brandon, who's one of our employees here, had this conversation. They asked me this question: do you think you get more? What do you think the difference is between using an old-timey skirted buzzbait than a skirted buzzbait with plastic? Now, I'm by no means an authority in this, but here's my thought process on it. I think that the old skirted buzzbait, I always used a trailer hook with it because it seems like I got a lot of short strikes on it, unless the fish were just really gobbling and choking. You get a lot of short hits. I don't ever put a trailer hook on this, and I hardly ever get any short bites. When they grab this, they really got it. So I kind of felt like that was the difference. That would have been my answer to the question, is number one, no short strikes, or maybe that's my experience with it. So something to think about. So try that and see if that works for you, because I think you'll find that might hold kind of true.
Okay, I have one more here from the live questions.
All right, good.
I'm wondering, what is our best smallmouth baits?
The Smallmouth Smasher, I would say, is probably our best, or the Limit Maker, something that's compact. They were designed basically to catch smallmouth on. I know the Smallmouth Smasher was because me and one of our pro staffers named Scott Callan kind of developed that bait together, and it was kind of his idea, and we just kind of took it from there. But that bait is really good with smallmouth, and then that Limit Maker works real well too. It's compact, small. Both those baits are really drop shot type baits, and they work really well for smallmouth. So if I had to recommend one of our products immediately, that would be the two I would recommend. And there are some other good ones. Garrett Paquette can tell you there's like he uses the Pro Swimmer a lot, and he uses the 3.75 jerk minnow in his smallmouth fishing. So there are some other variables, but that's the two I would recommend right out of the gate for sure.
Okay, one last question. I'll let you go, Coach.
All right, good.
Bass Seeker is here wondering, do we have swim baits?
We do have swim baits. Actually, we have several different types of swim baits for you to look at. The BB Kicker, the Suicide Shad, and the Pro Swimmer would be the three that pops to the top of my mind. And then we have one that we've had for a long time, the Cane Thumper, which to me is a really good swim type bait. It's not an actual, doesn't look as much like a true shad or a true fish, but it has a shape. It's more like a Pro Swimmer type deal. I think all of those are excellent baits, and I've talked with guys who've had success on all of them. So definitely a matter of getting the catalog or going online and taking a look at them and fit the one that you like the best. But for sure, definitely, we do have some swim baits out there for you to choose from.
All righty.
So I guess that's going to wind us up for today. I think we had a real good show today, Jordan. I appreciate all the questions coming in. It's been very active, and hopefully everybody will get through this little bad weather we got coming up and get through that, and maybe we won't have a bigger hurricane for the years out, and everything will be good. But till next Monday, we'll see you here at Big Bite Baits.